A documentary about Melania Trump, Lady Einstein, is selling fewer tickets than a Spirit Airlines flight to Gary, Indiana. This is real. This is happening right now as the world burns, as the state executes U.S. citizens in broad daylight across Minneapolis. Somebody spent the GDP of a small island nation to film this woman packing boxes. I shit you not. The official plot is Melania Trump prepares to move into the White House. You know, Will and I have seen more dramatic Ring doorbell footage on our Nextdoor and Citizen apps. But real quick, I'm Lauren Paritra. This is Willa Paritra. She's going to just bring me the ball the whole time. Please take a moment to subscribe. We currently have a lead on Katie Miller, who, if you're new here, is the woman married to Stephen Little Bitch Miller, who is the pale white nationalist from Santa Monica, but behind all of this ICE terror. And she's married to him on purpose. She's married to him on purpose, and she's building a podcast now on the backs of trafficked children and kidnapped immigrants. And every sub, every comment, 7 words at least, every like is an FU to Katie and Stephen Little Bitch Miller. So this film, it covers 20 days. Melania made $28 million, $1.4 million per day. I did some cowgirl math. That's $58,000 per hour, $972 per minute. Melania Trump made more money taking a pee filming than most Americans make in a week. She got paid the salary of a neurosurgeon to point at a box and say, put scarves in there. When you start pulling out the thread, though, this whole thing unravels. When you find what's going on below the surface here, it will show you exactly how the oligarch works in 2026. So Jeff Bezos had dinner with Trump at Mar-a-Lago. Just the two of them, just a little bromance between two of the worst people on the planet. Casual dinner, maybe some wine. 3 weeks later, Amazon paid $40 million for this documentary. The most Amazon has ever paid for any content ever. More than the Lord of the Rings series. Amazon Web Services also, just so you know, contracts with the Department of Defense worth billions. Blue Origin has NASA contracts worth billions more, also a Bezos product. The federal government is one of Bezos' biggest customers. He writes them then a $40 million check to the president's wife, Lady Einstein, for a whole movie about packing boxes. The former director of the U.S. Office of Government Ethics said, this looks like buying access and paying for a little favor. Melania kept 70% of that $40 million. She pocketed $28 million. The First Lady took $28 million from a man whose companies depend on federal contracts while her husband runs the federal government. Completely legal, I suppose. Lady Einstein is considered a private citizen for ethics purposes. She can take tens of millions from government contractors and nobody can do anything about it. Amazon spent an additional $35 million on marketing. That's more than NFL commercials. She also has a full takeover of the Las Vegas sphere, you know, that glowing orb. Now it's showing Melania Trump's 50-foot face just looming over Vegas. Very haunting and creepy. And current ticket sales approaching zero. Jacksonville, Trump's home state. I'm looking at some data right now. Opening night. We're looking at opening night, 5 p.m. Tickets sold, zero. Lawrenceville, Georgia. Trump won Georgia. And I'm looking at a 102-seat theater. Tickets sold, zero. 3 shows opening night. Total across all 3, zero. Los Angeles theaters. We got 4 of them. 5 tickets sold for opening night. It's like impressive. The UK opened the film in 30 theaters. Tickets sold 1 at the time of this recording. 1 human being in all of the UK bought a ticket. Industry analyst told The Guardian, I'd be amazed if box office gets reported on this title. Trump posted on Truth Social, Melania, the movie is a must watch. Get your tickets today. Selling out fast. He's full of shit. A San Francisco theater sold 7 tickets for opening night. You could fit all those people in Uber XL. The empty theaters aren't even the most interesting part though, because when you look at who's behind this, who's directed it, and who's connected to it, it gets really dark and really Epstein-y. Brett Ratner directed this. You might remember Brett from 2017 when 6 women accused him of sexual assault. One actress said he forced her to perform oral sex when she was 19. Another said he rude in front of her on a film set. He became Hollywood's Antichrist. He was way pushed out of town and he sort of just disappeared. But you want to guess where Brett is living now? in a villa at Mar-a-Lago, making documentaries about Lady Einstein, getting paid $40 million for it. This is a man accused of sexual assault. And there's photos of him shirtless with Jean-Luc Brunel, Jeffrey Epstein's modeling scout and associate. This photo appeared in the more recently unclassified Epstein files, which we've only gotten less than 1% of. And on the day the LA Times published this investigation into Ratner, Epstein sent an email to his personal lawyer that read, "Brett Ratner now, oi. If the worst child trafficker in history in the U.S. is saying that about you, what does it have to say about Brett?" So he's a disgraced Hollywood director, and he's connected, obviously very connected to the Epstein network, and he's now living at Mar-a-Lago. Great. Making $40 million from a deal brokered by a government contractor. 2/3 of the New York crew asked to have their names removed from the credits. One crew member said, "Brett Ratner was the worst part of working on this project. Worse than making propaganda. Worse than the chaos. Worse than getting stranded in Florida," which actually happened. Multiple crew members flew on Trump's Boeing 757 to Mar-a-Lago and got literally abandoned there. They had to hire a full-time travel coordinator to rescue stranded crew members from Mar-a-Lago. Can't think of anything worse. Crew members said Ratner would leave garbage everywhere. One person said he chewed a piece of gum and then threw it in a coffee cup on their car. Another recalled a day when the crew wasn't allowed to eat. Great. Everyone's starving. Brett Ratner brought his own food and ate it in front of everyone, licking his fingers. Disgusting. The White House held a premiere screening on January 25th. The invite included this disclaimer. If you are a government employee, confirm you have received approval from your ethics officer to attend this event. They had to include an ethics warning for the movie premiere. The premiere had custom popcorn buckets with Melania's face on them, gift bags. Tim Cook was there, of course. Mike Tyson. That same day, an ICE agent shot and killed Alex Preddy, 7-year-old ICU nurse in Minneapolis. Shot him while he was face down on the ground, restrained. While people were eating popcorn out of gold popcorn buckets with Melania's face on it at the White House, a nurse was being executed on the street while he lay on his stomach during this hostile government takeover. And then this morning, Melania went on Fox News to talk unity. We need to come together. We need peace. The entire time, there's a banner at the bottom of the screen promoting her documentary.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm excited about the movie. I hope to go see it this weekend. But first, let's talk about some of the news that's happening around our country. And let's start with what's happening in Minnesota. There are these protests. There are these shootings. The world is divided. There's pressure on both sides. You have talked a lot about coming together and being respectful. And your husband yesterday had a way to maybe bring some calmness to that area, contacting the governor, contacting the mayor, hopefully working together. What is your message for America about unifying both sides?
We need to unify. I'm calling for unity. I know my husband, the president, had a great call yesterday with the governor and the mayor, and they're working together to make it peaceful and without riots. I'm against the violence. So if we protest in peace. And we need to unify in these times.
Mm-hmm. Before the movie even came out, people started leaving reviews on Letterboxd. Hilarious, 10 out of 10 reviews. Then yesterday, all the reviews disappeared, just completely wiped. Funny how that works out. Letterboxd claimed it was an automatic update due to a corrected premiere date. Jeff Bezos, whose companies have billions in government contracts, paid $40 million for a documentary about Lady Einstein moving into the house. They spent $35 million promoting it. The First Lady pocketed $28 million of it for 20 days of just being followed around by cameras. The director is very, very accused of sexual assault and totally connected and locked into the Epstein files. So much so, the crew, 2/3 of them had to ask to have their names removed from the credit. They were like, we don't want to be tied to this. And there's a movie from 2006 called ZYZZYX Road. And it made $30 on opening day. And it holds the record for the lowest grossing opening in a box office history. People are comparing Melania to ZYZZYX Road. When your $75 million documentary is being compared to a film that made less than a Chipotle burrito, you've made something interesting happen here. Melania opens Friday. If you buy a ticket, let us know in the comments. And we're going to continue unpacking this one. we're going to also ask, Will and I are going to ask that you keep your subscription going. Make sure you take a moment to subscribe. We bootstrap this. We can't do it without your support. Share this with people who need to know that there's some major funny business going on. And remember that every like, comment, and share is an FU to Katie and Stephen Little Bitch Miller. They think they can get away with it, and you're not going to want to miss what we got next.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.